If AI is going to replace so many jobs and is going to be involved with all kinds of professions around us, when this concept was discussed, people were laughing at them. Need a generation which can critically evaluate who says you are reprimanded for, and similarly to unlearn without any ego. Not going to help us in implementing our job or being part of the job. That, like, if you're scared of failure and if you're not don't have the capacity to accept failure, understand privacy, consent, powerful weapon. Hello everyone, welcome back to another topic discussions. So today's topic is, when we did the predictions for the 2026, when we did the predictions for the year 2026, we came to notice one point, and that is how the technology is going to influence every industry and every field and every sector in a manner which we have not seen in the last years or in the history of humankind. The technology is going to be so empowering to the world over in this year that it is time that we emphasized how AI's involvement is going to be a daily part of our lives. So we have discussed, I myself have done AI related videos in the last year, but this year it is going to be even more significant. And whenever we talk about artificial intelligence or AI, there's one question that pops up around the parents. Whoever I discuss with, whomever I have a communication with, there is a question they always ask, and that is, if AI is going to replace so many jobs and is going to be involved with all kinds of professions around us, what should we teach our children? What should the children study so that they are in par with the changing technology and evolving times? Right, this is a question that everybody around asks, and even the children themselves ask, like, if AI is going to be so empowering to the world, then what are we supposed to do? What are we supposed to learn? So I would like to touch up on this specific point here, because I think it is going to be very relevant for our children and the parents who are really focused on education and studies and the future changes and evolution, what is going to happen in the business world and in the work environment. Okay, so whenever we think about change has happened only because of thinking. We had people who thought, who dreamt of various things that they were able to innovate and implement and make it a part of our lives. 20, 25 or even 30 years ago, if somebody told me that, or somebody discussed about a phone that they can carry everywhere and talk, like with the people internationally available, or they can talk to a person walking around taking a phone in their hand, nobody really believed. When this concept was discussed, people were laughing at them. Why? Because people didn't have the capacity to think in that manner. But we had people who thought in that manner, who invented, who had that kind of dreams and invented or evolved from a land phone. Like, we used to have land phones at home, which we could not take and walk along or take it to work or take it to the business or take it to the market. No, we didn't have that capacity 20, 35 years ago. But right now we carry our phone everywhere, wherever we go, So there were people who thought differently and who made things differently, and now these things have become an everyday part of our lives, which is amazing. So the point I'm coming to is the capacity to think made all the difference in the world. Okay, so 5 different points that are essential for our children to be in par with the AI and the changing technologies. Things are changing so very quickly. Correct? The changes that used to happen in 10 years, 15 years time, right now is happening in a span of 2 to 3 years to 5 years max. So things are happening so quickly. So what are the skills required for our children to compete with the current quickly changing times? I have done a brief research on this topic, and whatever I could understand, I'm just trying to cover here. Points that I believe are relevant for the youngsters nowadays are: first one is thinking. Second one is humanity. Third one is creativity. Fourth one is AI literacy. Fifth one is adaptability. Okay, so these 5 points are the ones which I'm going to discuss today as part of the required skills, or what our children need to learn, or what the children need to be taught to adapt themselves to these changing times. The first one is thinking. Okay, as I mentioned, thinking plays a very important role in whatever change we are going through. So thinking, I would like to classify into three different factors. First one is critical thinking. Second one is problem defining. Third one is system thinking. Okay, so these are the three factors that I have categorized under the learning how to think. Okay, so thinking, capacity to think is very important. And now, what is critical thinking? When a teacher comes and tells a student that this is the answer for this particular problem, or this is the answer for this particular situation, then the kid should be able to ask, why this is the answer, why we do not have an alternate answer, why do you think this is the best answer? So the capacity to think and question that answer is called critical thinking, or the capacity to critically evaluate a situation. Like we have situations, or when we look at older generations, we have had situations where people just listen to whatever was being taught. There was no questioning, there was no arguments, there were no discussions. It was like, okay, you said that and you say that is correct, okay, I accept it is correct. There was no counter-intuitive thinking or counter questions or countering the answers, nothing like that. So we need a generation which can critically evaluate any answer, or critically think and come to an answer, rather than blindly following an answer. So that is called capacity to critical thinking, or learning how to think. One of the factors is capacity of critical thinking. Okay, not just blindly following an answer. So that is the first point here. Now the second point under learning how to think is problem framing. We all know we have problems. Everybody has their own set of problems. But when we are using technology to resolve a situation, or finding a solution to a specific confusion, or we are trying to ease an experiment, we need to frame the problem specifically. Correct? Only if we can input the problem and frame the problem clearly, we can find, or we can let the technology provide a clear answer. If we are unable to define the problem, then the system cannot generate a proper answer to the problem. Okay, so if I have like a situation where the students are not listening in the class, okay, so that is a problem, correct? So instead of framing that the students are not listening, I have to frame the question as why the students are not listening, correct? So is it the problem with the students, or is it the problem, the audible situation in the class, or is the teacher not loud enough? So we have to define the problem in such a manner that we can find the quickest, easiest, most relevant solution to the problem. So problem framing is very, very important skill that is required, especially in this age of AI. Now the third point is system thinking. System thinking. And there is linear thinking. Linear thinking, for example, if the students are coming to school late, why the students are coming to late? In linear thinking, the school punishes the children. The school says you are reprimanded for coming late every day, not being punctual, you're not being active in the class, not disciplined enough, so you need to be punished, you need to be tackled in this manner. This is called linear thinking. Now, systems thinking is, we are asking why the student is coming in late. Is there a problem? The children is not able to get up on time? Is the children is not able to do their chores properly and arrive at school on time? Are they not going to bed on time? So this is the understanding the system, where the hindrance is happening in not allowing the children to come to school on time. So this is called the systems thinking. Okay, so it is very important, especially when we are using a high-end technology like artificial intelligence. We need to have a systems thinking rather than the linear thinking where we directly blame the end result. Instead of blaming the end result, we look at factors like what has caused this kind of end result that we are not able to fix it, or we have to find the way where the system is going wrong. So these are the examples I'm just giving. Do let me know if you're able to connect, or if you're unable to connect, or if you're not able to understand. Please do let me know. Share your thoughts, share your understanding. Only then we can refine and make the content even better. Okay, so the next point is, so this is with regard to the thinking Under thinking, we discussed learning how to think, and under learning how to think, we discussed critical thinking, problem framing, and systems thinking. Okay, now the next factor which is essential and which makes humans humans is, of course, the humanity. Correct? Humans, what is the biggest difference between humanity and the machines? We have human skills, right? Machines, and what makes us different from animals? We have human skills. What are the factors that need to be developed? What are the kind of skills that the children need to acquire? So under humanity, we are discussing the emotional and human skills. This emotional and human skills part I have divided into 4 different headings. And the first one is definitely empathy and active listening. Second point is communication. Third point is collaboration and conflict resolution. Fourth point is leadership and ethical judgment. So coming to the first point, empathy and active listening. Like machines can never be empathetic, right? Only humans can think from another person's view. Machines can only feed what has been input into them. So only humans can actually understand what the other person is feeling, what the other person is undergoing. How can we empathize with another person's situation? So that factor comes only to humans. And we can actively listen to what the other person is trying to communicate to us. Correct? What the other person's feelings are, what the other person is thinking. Only when we listen carefully and actively, we understand what the other person is trying to communicate, whether verbally or non-verbally or through non-verbal cues or actions. And all those things, right? And even if they draw and write and show us, we understand, we communicate even in that manner. So that is possible only with humans and by active listening and empathy. So now that brings us to the next point, that is communication. We all know communication has different formats of writing, speaking, singing, drawing. So all these formats of communication comes into picture. Communication is another thing that AI can never replicate. We can persuade as humans, and when we are communicating with different people from different parts of the world, we communicate to make them understand, we communicate to teach them something, we communicate to persuade them or to sell our products or to customize our products or to expand our market. So all these formats, we need formats of business or any other systems or services, we need proper communication, and that is possible only by humans and not by any machines. Correct? Say if we need to negotiate something, how much effectively the AI is going to negotiate, I do not know, but a human has been so good at negotiating, persuading peers to do or not to do certain things is what we use our communication for. So now that brings us to the third point, and the third point is collaboration and conflict resolution. So whenever we do projects by teams, within teams, and building teams and collaborating with people from various parts of the world or within our country, so we do collaborate, and when we collaborate, there is always a chance of conflicts. Conflicts are part of collaboration. So whenever conflicts exist, we need to resolve the conflict and move on with the project and get a proper end result. So conflict resolution happens only with the capacity to communicate clearly. So the communication capacity and ability to be provided or taught to the children so they can excel in this world of AI. The fourth point under humanity is definitely leadership and ethical judgment. Correct? We need leaders who can lead the people or the team or the projects, and who can guide them in the right way to complete the project in a specific time or with a specific time frame or with a specific budget. All these things, with the limited resources, all these things need to be managed by a leader. So leadership qualities are essential for our children, and along with the ethical judgment. Correct? Like where to draw the line. Not can we do, the question is going to be should we do. Okay, with the increased AI and technological involvement in every part of our lives, the question is going to be should we do it or not. Correct? So when we come to that framework of job or even social lives. So we need leadership who has proper ethical judgment and decide when to say no and when not to say no, where to draw the line, where not to draw the line. So ethical judgment is going to be very, very essential for the future workforce, so which need to be imbibed in our children right now so they can implement it in the future. So these are all some factors, like AI can never taste something. So we need who can taste. We need jobs or people who to do the tasting part, to understand the creative part, to understand the music part, the connection part, the people we connect. Humans are unique because we have certain capacities like tasting, learning, growing, trusting, caring, taking up responsibilities. All these things, I don't think the machines can ever do it, correct? So these are all uniqueness of the human beings. And so that takes us to the next point of creativity. When we discuss about creativity, it's not simply just the art classes or the painting classes once a week or the music classes twice a week that we are focusing on. But creativity basically means connections. You're creating something new that more people can connect with. It resonates with something. A music or a song becomes a hit when a majority of the people are able to connect with the song, when they are able to like the song. A movie becomes a hit when majority of the people are able to connect and enjoy it in the same manner, correct? So that is art or creativity. Creativity is creating something new with the connection, with the human connection, where majority of the people are able to connect. So when we come to creativity is going to be like in the form of storytelling. Storytelling in the form of movies, videos, games. Nowadays, even games are like a part of a kind of storytelling, correct? So all these are going to be an extension of creativity that our children are going to be associated with in the near future. So storytelling is going to be an important factor. Other than that, product designing, model designing. So these are all where the creativity is going to come into picture. Along with music, arts, design thinking, combining ideas from different fields, like bringing it sports into art, like sports games designing with a story and with storytelling. So all these are combinations that can be created in the future in the form of games or just videos, or even the communication, the storytelling using AI, what the humans are thinking and then letting the AI narrate the story, bringing in sports into the story, nautics into the story, airspace events into time traveling into stories. So these are all creative ideas that children can bring into their job and implement it. So creative thinking and creativity is going to be an important factor in the future job profiles. Now the next point is AI literacy. Children should be aware of how AI works, not just the coding languages or how the IT works, but how AI works, like how it can be implemented in the workspace, how the cognitive part, especially how at the concept level how AI works, how it can be used in problem solving or creating something, how AI can be used. AI, like at least the major literacy of AI. One that I wanted to discuss was like concept level AI. Along with that, the prompting. I think prompting part and all, I think some schools are already teaching children like AI prompting and all, framing questions and how to use AI, what are the changes AI can, verifying AI outputs, like you have to understand if the output is good enough or we can get a better outcome out of AI. So these are all factors that will help children in decision making. Along with all these things, another factor that children need to know is when not to use AI, correct? Like when we talk about drawing the line, we should also know when not to use AI in certain manners. Like we know that AI is going to be part of everyday life and is going to be an influential factor in our lives, but we should also know when not to use AI. when it is going to be demeaning, when it is going to be bullying, like any other factors, like how social media can go overboard. Kids should know or understand when not to use AI. That also should be an important part of AI literacy. Now, the fifth and the final point is going to be adaptability. This is a point which I have discussed so many times in so many of my videos, like adaptability, like when the world is changing so quickly and so fast, that it is necessary that we adapt ourselves, or we change ourselves, or we evolve ourselves as per the changing times. So how do you do that? We need to be quick learners. Only when we learn quickly, we can move quickly and fastly learn and adapt to the changing surroundings. So we need to make our children to be quick learners. Correct. And similarly, to unlearn without any ego, like, not like, okay, I learned this and I know this and this is the only thing which is right. No, quickly unlearn. If this is not going to help us in implementing our job or being part of the job, then quickly unlearn and move on. Correct. And move on quickly. Otherwise, we are going to be stuck in the old ways and old times. Another significant point of adaptability is definitely experimenting and innovation. Experimenting and innovation is, like, children need to experiment and understand the pros and cons of different things that they are going to be part of. Like, when you're going to adapt and change so quickly, not every time you're going to get the anticipated good results or the best results. Sometimes you need to experiment with various options and then learn, make mistakes. Then, of course, the capacity to fail and retry. That is also another important factor of being adaptable. Like, if you're scared of failure and if you're not don't have the capacity to accept failure as a failure, no, let it fail. Failure be a part of our lives. Fail, learn, correct, and move on. So all these things are going to be an essential part of adaptability. Along with all these factors, children need to be responsible. Children need to understand the value of ethics. Children need to understand privacy, consent, digital ethics, responsibility, because they're going to wield a very powerful weapon or a very powerful tool, correct? AI or any technology which is at a really advanced stage is a very powerful tool. So when the children are going to yield a very powerful tool, they need to know what are the responsibilities that they are holding. So what is the contribution? They can use it to build or they can use it to destroy. These are some of the points that I wanted to discuss here. I do not know how much of it is worthwhile, how much you people are able to connect with the points that I've discussed. Whatever is your ideas and concerns or contradictions, please do share or comment. And I'll be more than happy to discuss it further. As always, thank you for spending your time here. Until we meet next time, thank you and bye-bye.